Hey now, it's Sharon, and I'm back to share another video with you. And I just wanted to provide a couple of different perspectives. But let me start with this. Have you ever been to a restaurant and the service was just so bad that you said you were never going back? Maybe when you walked in, the hostess wasn't didn't greet you, or was on the phone and just doing something else, or the waiter or waitress was just dry or downright unfriendly. Or maybe the food wasn't that good, but that's another story. But have you ever had that happen? I've had that happen. And what'd you do after you had that experience? You went home and you talked about it. You told anybody that would listen. I've been at work talking about restaurant XYZ on ABC Boulevard, and people have overheard me talking about it and came in and said, "Man, that restaurant, the service is always bad." You hear people chiming in from every walk of life, you might as well say. And then they tell somebody, and then they tell somebody, and then they tell somebody. I know you've had that happen. Well, how about I'll go back a second time just to see if I was just tripping. Like, okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it was a one-time thing. And then you go back and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I even come back? Because the service was still bad and it didn't improve? Yeah, I've had that happen a couple of times. Well, how many times as an officer, or when you put on the uniform, you're the bad host, or you're the bad waitress, serving somebody, serving the public? Something to think about, right? And the reason why I brought that up is because early in my career, I didn't know my city the way I know it now. And I pulled over to ask two officers for directions. They weren't doing anything because I'm kind of familiar when you laying off in the cut, as they call it. And so I parked in such a way, got out, and I said, "Excuse me." And the two officers, one of them turned around and looked at me and then kept talking. And I said, "Excuse me," again. And then he turned around with just this look of impatience, like, "What?" And that's when I pulled out my ID. And then he said, "Oh, I didn't know." And then I saw the impatience melt off of his face. But didn't know what? Did you not turn around and see human? I didn't say that, but it questioned me and made me question how I behave in the uniform and when I interact with the public. Think about that. Here's another perspective. Once that happened to me, I said, okay, when I put the uniform on, I am going to be professional and at least respectful and cordial when I interact with the public. It doesn't always happen that way, but I made an attempt. I always said I would be professional and talk to people like they matter, you know, because of what happened to me. When I put the uniform on and I go out and I do that, I look at that as keeping other officers safe. Because, yeah, POP, pissing off the police. I'm going to write you one ticket, but I'm going to write you 5 others because you pissed me off. And then you send that person down the road, unhappy, angry. Now they got to dig in their pockets and get more money. And when I send that officer down the road angry, what about the officer that's going to encounter that angriness the next day or the day after? To me, that's a safety issue. So I always try to send that person off with, okay, you got this ticket, we can talk about it in court, but I don't mishandle them, I don't talk down to them. I saw that a lot. And like I said, I had to check myself. I had to check myself because my faith was telling me, okay, something's not right if you're talking to these people like this. So that's another perspective. How many times do you put on your uniform and you're the bad host because of the service that you've provided? And like in my case, if I send that person down the street angry because I gave them 5 tickets when I could have given them 1, all because of pissing off the police, how many times do I fit the description when I put that uniform on? Well, that's all for today. You guys, hit subscribe and check out our store. The link is in the top right hand of the header on this page. And remember this, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from a thing. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.